Okay, our final video for Chapter 1 of CSE 3200. We're going to cover the last two objectives, wire up our views, and make toast. Make toast sounds kind of funny, but you've experienced them probably daily. If you get a pop-up notification on your phone, then you get some sort of information, but you don't have to interact with it, and it disappears. That's a toast. It's going to be fairly easy to do, so we're just going to throw that in there with wire up your views. And wire up your views is actually a pretty big concept, and we'll talk about the parts of it inside of the editor, but basically it's how do we get all the things that we create in the user interface to get its information back to the layout manager and be able to do stuff. Okay, so we need to wire up our views. All right, so we're going to go to the main activity, and we are going to, well, we have these two buttons there, but they don't do anything on this side. So we are going to change that. So we're going to go private late init var true button of type button, lowercase t. We are going to make a duplicate of that, but change it to a false button. Okay, this happens to me quite a bit. I did not use autocomplete, and button is red. If I go back and start typing button again and use the autocomplete, then I get the import. So I've said that's a nice use of the autocomplete. Might happen again in this class, and I misspell false often. Got to keep an eye on that. All right, I want to talk about late init because it's a weird sounding word. Kotlin and Java are very, very similar. I've said that they're interoperable. One can be made into the other. Kotlin has some protections against null that Java doesn't. You don't have to be responsible for it yourself most of the time because of these safeguards that are put in place. And here's one of them right here. And when we create this button, we're not creating it right now. We're saying we're going to create it. So late init is a promise. This is currently null, but before we use it, it will be non-null. Now there is another defense against null here. It's actually right there, that question mark. That question mark says this is allowed to be null. All right, so we've promised that we are going to make this not null, and here we are going to do that. So go after set content view, and you are going to say true button is equal to find view by ID r.id.true_button. It's red, and that's because we actually haven't made the ID, and it's not supplied automatically. IDs are automatically supplied for things like views, text views, linear layouts, and for strings too. But it's not supplied for text views. I said it was, but it's not supplied for text views or buttons, individual views. So I need to go back into the strings.xml, not there. I need to go into activity.xml, and for this first button, I'm going to go Android ID equals, inside quotes, at plus ID. Now the plus is something you haven't seen before with the at. It means I am creating it now. Like I said, they come automatically with things like strings. So at ID /true_button. All right, now let's go back into main, and that error has gone away. And there's another error there, and I've had this happen a couple times, but I know how to fix it. So let's go back into activity, and while we're here, let's give the false button its ID. So copy and paste it, but change true to false. Be sure to spell it correctly. And then we'll go back to here, and I'm going to copy and paste this. And this is for false button. And its ID is false underscore button. Okay, it also says I have an error, and I didn't really see an error. When I run my cursor over it or go over here to this red line, it says layout activity main does not contain a declaration, but it does. I just put it there. So I'm going to go File, Save All, and that error goes away. I'm not sure why that error hung out there for a while. And I wonder if I ran it. I've had this happen sometimes. I didn't even notice there was an error. I ran it, and it fixed the error and ran okay. Okay, so this was part 1 of 2 of wiring up views. And that is getting references to view objects. Okay, now I'll talk more about the Find View by ID in class. It's in the textbook too. There'll be comments about R there, but just I'm not going to have time to do that in this video. Okay, so part 1 is done, and now it's time for part 2. So we are going to go true button dot set on click listener, and we are going to get rid of the curly braces, or we're going to get rid of the parentheses, and we're going to put in curly braces. I'll pause for a second. Okay, so in the slides, I have a link to what's going on here and some sample code. But before that, I want to even talk about listeners. Hopefully you have some experience with listeners. If you made it this far and you didn't, it'd be a real shame, but I'm sure that could happen. Phones are very interactive. If they didn't interact with you, then they would be useless. That you might be able to show a video, but if you can't stop that video and you want to, useless. So what a listener does is it waits or listens for something to happen. In this case, that the button actually gets clicked. All right. So the curly braces means we're going to put in a function literal. We are going to return a view of type capital view. Now, and I'm going to put the arrow here for this is what's going to happen in our function. And again, it turned red, and it means I need an import. So I could do some clicking around to get that import, or just back up and start typing view and hit autocomplete, and the import shows up. All right, now for now I'm just going to say do something, and then I'll make a copy of this, and I will do one for false button. All right, so I want to say before I move on that this is part 2 of wiring up. Now, even starting as soon as chapter 2, we will do something different to wire up views. But for now, this is how we're going to do it. Part 2 of 2 wiring up, it is setting listeners. Okay, let's see. I don't have any errors, so it looks like I'm all set. All right, well, that was the big concept. Like I said, the stuff about what these functions, find view by ID, what the R class is doing, some of the things that are automatically inherited, that we're going to talk about that in class. But now we're just going to make the toast. Okay, so let's go capital toast dot make text. And in this method, there are 3 different fields, or 3 different arguments. So I want to auto-complete the toast. Come on, can I auto-complete the toast? Yes, there we go. So I got the import. So the first argument is a context, and remember that a layout is a child of context. So this is the context we're going to be using. The second is what we actually want to type out, and we're going to go r.string.trueButton. Now that auto-completed for me, that's nice, but do we have a string for the true button? Oh, we do, but all that says is true. So if I hit the true button, it'll say true. If I hit the false button, it'll say false. I don't really want that. I'm going to change that in a second. Next argument is how long our toast is going to be, how long the message is going to be displayed. Toast dot, and then start typing length, and you have choices of short or long. Long is about 5 seconds, short is about 3 seconds. I'm going to select short. And then finally, outside of the make text call, I'm going to call dot show pren. Okay, so I said I have to fix that true button. So we are going to, this right here, I don't want it to say true. So let's go into strings and see here it would have said true if I selected true button. So let's make a copy of this, and it's going to be correct toast. And the message that will get displayed is correct with an exclamation point. While we're here, let's make one for incorrect toast. And we are also excited about getting it wrong. We'll have an exclamation point for incorrect. All right, well, we haven't used incorrect toast yet. That's what that light bulb says there. It's a caution. So we'll go back to main activity, and we will copy this line. And we will put that in for false button. We will change it from true button. Oh, I didn't change it before. That isn't even true button. That is correct toast. And we'll change it here to incorrect toast. All right, let's see if it works. I'm going to File, Save All, and I'm going to run it. And if I hit true, the toast correct shows up. If I hit false, the toast incorrect shows up. We have done it. So our objectives were the last two, wire up our views, which we did. We got communication between our elements in the main and our layout manager in string dot and our activity underscore main. And we made the toast, which is nice and easy. Okay, we did it. We made it through chapter 1, and I guess I will see you in chapter 2.